All right, welcome back to the channel. Lomachenko calls Teofimo Lopez a clown. We're going to talk about that and the fact that Lomachenko better be careful over there in the UK heading into this fight with Luke Campbell. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel, subscribers. If you are not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also, thank you very much to all the Patreons. Check out the new negotiation video we have up there on benign business and politics. I think you'll enjoy it. A good life lesson, something you can use in your professional life and your personal life. Also, thank you to everybody that supports the channel on the super chats, the Cash App, on the live streams that we do Monday through Friday in the mornings, and on Sunday morning, 8 a.m. OG Boxing Talk. Let's get into it. Vasily Lomachenko. Now, I got this off of watching one of my favorite channels, Dante's Boxing Nation. Video was up there. I do believe is his name. Forgive me if I mispronounce it. I always read it, and sometimes you read people's names. He uploads to Dante's Boxing Nation's channel, but he talked about how Vasily Lomachenko said that he would rather fight Teofimo Lopez than Richard Comey because he wants to beat him up. At least that's how I recall how that went. And he said that he believes that that both Teofimo Lopez and Teofimo Lopez daddies are some clowns. As we know, Teofimo Lopez is an up-and-coming fighter on Top Rank. He's an excellent talent. Excellent talent. One of the top prospects in boxing. And yes, I called him a prospect. And that is a subjective term. I've gotten back and forth about whether he's a contender or he's a prospect. My book, I'm not quite sure about him. I don't really know what is all there. He looked fantastic in many of his fights, most except for the last two, where even though the fight before last he got a knockout, to me, he just didn't look like he had improved much. And it looked like he was just seeking the one-punch knockout too much. Also in that last fight versus, I believe his name was Nakatami, the Japanese fighter, real tall Japanese fighter he went the distance with and was getting hit pretty regularly with straight right hands from Nakatami. He just didn't look like he had improved as much. Seemed like, he's just kind of looking for the one-punch knockout. And so to me, the book is still out on him. But as far as what Lomachenko said and him and his fathers being clowns, I think the jury's in on that, and he's got a pretty good point. The way that those guys behave is, they're marketing themselves. I'll put it this way. Just saying that somebody's a clown, they do clown. They talk very brashly. They act as if they've already made it. Teofimo Lopez, in his eyes and his daddy's eyes, is the greatest fighter fighting today. Nobody can beat him within a reasonable weight range of him. And, there's no problem with you being having that type of confidence. But to somebody that doesn't believe you, and somebody like Vasily Lomachenko, who really is very accomplished in the sport of boxing and who, definitely a veteran of the game, having been a professional now since 2014, right? So 5-year, almost 6-year professional career. He doesn't have a lot of fights because pretty much he came out the gate with a I'm just gonna have to ignore that phone ring, excuse me. He pretty much just came out the gate fighting at a world-class level, got a championship title shot in his second fight, won it in his third, and every fight since then has been a championship fight. So, he's a veteran of he's around 12 championship fights. Lost one to Orlando Salido, which I like to remind people of. So, just in case y'all forgot. But to him, Teofimo Lopez and the way he's behaving, he might look like a clown. And I don't doubt at all that Vasily Lomachenko would like to beat him up. And I think that is a pretty bad fight for Teofimo Lopez at this point in his career. More than likely, that fight's not going to happen. because Teofimo Lopez is somebody that is going to have to move up to 140 pounds relatively soon, unless he becomes very, very disciplined. So there's a chance he could stay at 135. I don't see it, though. I felt the same way, though, just to let you know that there's been scenarios like that I've been wrong in. I felt the same way for Gervonta Davis at 130 pounds. I thought it was inevitable within a couple of fights that he would be back up at 100, that he would move up to 135 pounds. But over his last two fights, he's made weight ever since he missed weight on the undercard of the Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Conor McGregor fight when he fought Francisco Fonseca. He has made weight easier and easier. The next fight that he had, I think he had to go to the scales twice. But then the fight after that, he didn't have to go to the scales at all and came in a pound and a half a pound under. I think maybe there was the fight in between that, the two as well. But regardless, he looks like he's going to be able to stay at 130 pounds and hopefully unify that division, because he seems to be a lot more disciplined. So maybe there's a chance Teofimo Lopez can do that as well. But to Teofimo Lopez fighting Vasily Lomachenko, I don't see it, man. I don't see it. And honestly, the biggest reason that I don't see it is because I don't see Teofimo Lopez beating Richard Comey. He's going to have to do something different in order to beat Richard Comey, because if that looking for the one punch knockout stuff doesn't work with Richard Comey, and Richard Comey can take his shots as well as that last guy did, and the amount of pressure that Richard Comey can put on you, yeah, man, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm certainly, okay. And right now I say that's a 50-50 fight, but really to me, it's more like a 55-45 fight for advantage to Richard Comey. Richard Comey is a very, very tough competitor. He gave Robert Easter Jr. all he can handle. He beat Ray. He won the belt. Beat Ray Beltran. The dude is the real deal. Now, as far as Lomachenko goes, though, I think Lomachenko's got other problems he needs to be very, very careful about while he's trying to win the WBC belt, going over there to the UK fighting Campbell. Luke Campbell is Olympic gold medalist. He is a good fighter. He acquitted himself well against Jorge Linares. I believe, of course, Jorge Linares won that fight, but he was a good fight for Jorge. It was a good fight for him with Jorge Linares. And if he had a little bit more punching power, hey man, he might have been able to do something to Linares. But it was a good fight. But it's not the skill level of Campbell that makes me worried for Vasily Lomachenko. It's the promotional company of Luke Campbell and the board that is overseeing the fight, the British Boxing Board of Control, makes me wonder for Vasily Lomachenko, and the judges that for Matchroom that make me wonder for Vasily Lomachenko, and the referee that would make me wonder for Vasily Lomachenko. Matchroom Boxing is pretty much on their last leg as far as major attractions go. They lost Anthony Joshua. They're in a negotiation to have that rematch fight, but as of the time of this video, they don't have Anthony Joshua. Dillian White, Pop Dirty, had his mandatory status revoked provisionally. They don't have him, and even if he winds up continuing to fight, because he can fight, there's no British Boxing Board of Control suspension over him. But still, that cloud is hanging over Dillian White, and Dillian White ain't no mega dude, was no mega superstar anyway. But now he's got that hanging over his head. He's got the corruption related, the suspicion of corruption hanging over the top of Dillian White. We'll have to see how that plays out. But going into there, even Bob Arum alluded to it. He alluded to it jokingly, but hey man, he said it. And I think I think if the fight goes a distance, if Vasily Lomachenko is not able to stop Luke Campbell, that could come into play on a Matchroom card. Matchroom cards have had some, and it's not just the Dillian White. It's not just what happened in the Dillian White fight. It's not just what just happened in the Dillian White fight. It's also happened in fights where in the Dillian White Oscar Rivas fight. It also happened in the Joseph Parker Anthony Joshua fight. It also happened in the Anthony Joshua. Did I say Anthony Joshua Joseph Parker? Happened in that fight. Happened to Anthony Joshua's Carlos Takam fight as well. We see Ann having, doing videos pretty consistently about fighters out of the UK. You hear from people that have been watching and been a fan, that live in the UK, that have been fans of boxing in the UK for a very long time, saying that they see it themselves. They see the home fighter on Matchroom card having the referee being heavily on the side of the fighters of the home fighters on the Matchroom card. And I don't think Eddie Hearn is playing with this. This would be something, because I definitely believe Eddie Hearn, in my opinion, Eddie Hearn is I wouldn't put anything past that dude. And if that goes the distance, that's something that I'll put it this way. Vasily Lomachenko needs to make sure that fight don't go the distance. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.